Hello, and welcome to Beyond Thinking, where we share and discuss about space exploration and humankind. Join us and keep watching. But first, if you like this content, consider liking and subscribing to hear more about Beyond Thinking. Today's video is about the Earth million years ago, before dinosaurs existed. According to estimates, the Earth was formed about 4.6 billion years ago. The Earth was drastically different from how it is today at this time. The Earth was so hot in its early history that molten magma probably made up the majority of the planet. The Earth started to cool after a few hundred million years, and seas of liquid water started to emerge. Come learn with us about how the Earth was a million years ago. The Cambrian period, around 500 million years ago. The terrain was desolate, perhaps arid and rocky. There might have been a microbiological soil crust in the area. There was no such thing as modern-day vegetation such as grass, trees, or plants. That may have been the appearance of the Earth's surface 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period. The Permian period, around 300 million years ago. This period first began 300 million years ago. Pangaea, the only supercontinent on our globe at the time, was encircled by the Panthalassa global ocean. Climates were substantially colder than they are today, when the Permian epoch began at the end of an ice age. Later in the early Permian, Earth warmed to a rich environment with a variety of plants and a quickening evolution of insect and animal life. On the blue marble, however, everything is always changing, as all are probably aware. Earth continued to get hotter and drier over the ensuing 50 million years, and eventually the deadliest catastrophe in the planet's history wiped out almost everything that had ever lived here. This phenomenon is known as the Great Dying by scientists. The Earth had never experienced a huge extinction event quite like it. 5 of them have been witnessed by Earth. But first, there is a historical adventure before discussion of all the doom and gloom. Some of the most amazing organisms that ever roamed the young world emerged here in the Permian period. Supercontinent Pangaea, 299 million years ago. There was a place called Pangaea in the heart of the supercontinent that existed about 300 million years ago, if one could travel through time. This massive landmass, which makes up 1/3 of the planet's surface, would have formed after Earth's smaller continents had barely begun crashing into one another. The air likely contained less oxygen than it does right today. However, one can still be able to breathe. Also, pack a jacket, because it can be frigid, with average temperatures in some places only reaching a chilly 4 degrees Celsius or 39 degrees Fahrenheit. But do not fret, things are about to get heated up. The Ice Age had ended by the end of the early Permian, and Pangaea had transformed into a lush environment with thriving plants and animals. Volcanic World, about 290 million years ago. This planet was a volcanic one. Violent eruptions transformed the landscape, altered the temperature, and allowed for evolution. The plant life had to change when the vast swamp forests started to dry out. Gymnosperms were the first seed-bearing plants to appear on Earth 290 million years ago. These plants dispersed like wildfire across the supercontinent thanks to the seeds carried by their cones. Something familiar was concealed by the early Permian's ancient evergreen forest. Cicadas and beetles could be seen sucking and piercing the plants, much like they're doing now. The cutest of them all, though, were the cockroaches. But these weren't the cockroaches we're all familiar with today. The size of birds, these ancient pests were enormous. Cockroaches were large, but they never had any real power in prehistoric times. Pangaea was home to something far more amazing. The currently extinct ancestor of early mammals was Dimetrodon. This creature was equally interesting and horrifying. It would be impressive to come across a Dimetrodon. This extinct lizard could reach a length of 5 meters or 16 feet and a weight of 225 kilograms or 500 pounds. Its spine was covered in a large sail. The sail is said to have helped the lizard control its body temperature by absorbing heat during the day and releasing it during the cooler evenings. It would approach you in a crocodile-like manner and display extreme menace. Watch out for a combination of sharp and flat fangs that would slash you open and crush you up. Dimetrodon was an apex predator of its era. Mammal-like reptile world, 273 million years ago. Other reptiles that resembled mammals overran the Earth during the Middle Permian epoch. The therapsids, their legs were located beneath their torso, giving them a somewhat erect stance, strong jaws with keen fangs, and 5 meters 16 feet long, probably omnivorous Deuterosaurus, to the 5 times smaller. Meat-eating Lycaenops were 2 examples of therapsid reptiles. If you stayed on for another 20 million years, you could encounter many more therapsids. Earth heated up more and more during the Middle Permian period. Around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit was the typical global temperature on Pangaea, and the atmosphere was being filled with greenhouse gases from volcanoes. Sea levels were altering as a result of the changing climate, but aquatic life managed to adapt and survive. You would be swimming with prehistoric sharks and skeletal primitive fish if you went swimming in the prehistoric superocean. As the environment continued to change, many more advanced marine species appeared and disappeared. Friendly reptile world 260 million years ago. In the late Permian period, you could have a friendly encounter with another reptile, Lystrosaurus. These looked like a cross between a lizard and a pig, but unlike all the scary prehistoric monsters out there, Lystrosaurus was a herbivore. It was about 1 meter or 3 feet long and had powerful front legs for burrowing. Soon, another cute mammal-like lizard evolved, the cynodont. The cynodont looked like a giant rodent. It was about 1 meter or 3 feet long, had whiskers, and fed on small animals and insects. Now during this time, something bad was brewing in the air. A large amount of volcanic activity was displacing oxygen from the atmosphere. Scientists think that there was as little as 10% oxygen in the air. Compare that to 21% today. You'd have a hard time breathing in that environment. And the temperature kept rising and rising. With an average temperature of about 28 degrees Celsius or 84 degrees Fahrenheit, this lush prehistoric world was turning into an oven. The Great Dying Period, 252 million years ago. Sadly, this period ended in a particularly painful way, as all good things must eventually come to an end. 90% of all plant and animal life disappeared around 252 million years ago. The Great Dying was the most catastrophic mass extinction catastrophe in Earth's history, and it was a dreadful time. What caused this tragic extinction is still up for debate among scientists. The majority of ideas contend that it was the outcome of violent volcanic activity. Major volumes of ash were released into the atmosphere as major volcanic eruptions ravaged the continent. There was so much ash there that it substantially reduced the amount of entering sunlight. Additionally, without sunshine, global temperatures abruptly decreased. Plants lost their ability to photosynthesize as a result. Animals soon followed without plants, the basic foundation of their food chain. Before things improved, they became worse. Global temperatures increased once more as a result of all the carbon dioxide released during the volcanic eruptions. And not just there, but also higher, really high. And as a result, most of the oxygen in the superocean was lost. The bulk of Permian sea creatures died because they were unable to breathe. Over 95% of marine species, as well as more than 70% of land animals, eventually became extinct. You can feel so sorrowful about this mass extinction that you wish you could bring back every extinct animal ever, as well as dinosaurs. Formation of continents 200 million years ago. About 240 million years ago, Pangaea predominated. This supercontinent began disintegrating around 200 million years ago. Pangaea split into parts over the course of millions of years, which dispersed, as the continent we know today gradually took shape from these fragments. If you have any thoughts on the ideas discussed in this video, please leave a comment below. If you have enjoyed this content and would like to see more on space exploration and humankind, please consider liking this video and becoming a subscriber for more videos on Beyond Thinking. Thank you and have a Beyonder night.